welcome back to another video. Today we're doing snowflake nails. I'm going to be using Frostbite from China Glaze. I'm going to throw the creative. This one is Sassy Saphire by Creative Nail Design. This one is Up All Night by China Glaze. This is an LPN Looking Up. I use this on top of another polish. And Chopsticks and Stones, and that is an OPI polish, one of my absolute favorites. These are the nails we're going to be doing today. They're a lot of fun. We're going to be using stamping plate number 5, which I will show you in just a minute. It is by, let me see, what is the name? It is by Daily Charm. That is the place that I got this plate. I happen to absolutely love this plate. It's got a lot of variety in it, and you can use pieces and parts of it. We're going to be starting with a snowflake with a ombre glitter, kind of an icicle look at the top. I apologize because I know there is some shadow in this video, and I will continue to work on getting better at the lighting and that sort of thing. But it's good. For now, it is what it is. So this is the snowflake I'm going to be choosing for this. You could use any of these snowflakes, really. They're all absolutely gorgeous, depending on the look you're looking for. But I happen to like the shape of this one. I am using a pearlescent white, and you can see in my very technical way to clean up the stamper to get rid of the excess I didn't want. And that goes on very quickly. And then I am going to use something by Nail Paints. It's a kind of a holographic-y glitter in silver. And what I'm doing is just daubing on some spots where I wanted a little bit more emphasis on the snowflake. So there are a couple little spots where there's almost like little dots that you can fill in. And then I go in and just use this over some of the fine line work on the edges. You do have to have a light touch because otherwise you'll end up with too much. You just want a hint of that glitter just to pick up that snowflake a little bit more. And then I'm going to go in the top and just sort of ombre down with a dry glitter brush. So it's the same brush. I've just kind of wiped off the excess glitter and then just dabbing it in and kind of smoothing it down toward the snowflake to finish the nail off. Very simple, very easy, takes just a couple of minutes to do, so it's a great option. All of the nail art designs I'm doing today are all, like 5 minutes or less, so they don't take a lot of time, especially if you're prepped ahead and your client has been nice enough to tell you they were looking for a snowflake or that kind of thing on a given day. The next one we're going to be doing has 3 tones to it. It is an ombre stamp. So I've blended the colors together. And I believe we are using unicorn horn, liquid sunshine, and the third one is sequin. They are all metallics, so they go well together. You do sort of want to stick with the similar tones. So metallics can all go together. If you have holographics and metallics mix well together. If you're doing creams, using all different shades of creams are good together. Sometimes if you're using glitters or metals and creams, it doesn't give as nice an effect. And I rolled the stamp across but didn't like it. Sometimes that happens. It's fine. So I'm just going to do it again real quick. So you'll see I picked a little different. I didn't like the way that one came out as much, so I'm changing up the way that I have laid out the colors this time just to get a little more of effect with it. You do have to be careful not to over scrape with this because you'll end up mudding all the colors together, so it's just a quick 1 or 2 swipes and you're done. I'm going to line it up here. And sorry, I went off screen. I'm going to stamp it over the nail, nice firm pressure. I missed a little corner, so I'm going to go back and just put that in. And there we go. Super fast, super easy, but super pretty. This one I am going to use the same glitter again, and I'm just hitting a couple of little spots. Again, giving it just a hint of sparkle, but not trying to overload. Sometimes it's just about less is more. And there you have it. Just a little glitz to pick up some of those extra colors. I'm going to let those dry. I will go back and top coat these toward the end as I'm waiting for one of the other nails to dry. This one here is more of a full coverage. You'll notice that I have a dark background on it to help the stamp itself stand out. You will notice that I clean my stamp pretty much every time. I find that I get a cleaner look that way because sometimes the paints will bleed over and you don't notice it until you go to stamp it down and then pick it up. This time I'm using pewter. It's a pretty bold, dark silver. I'm going to coat the whole stamp. And swipe. Make sure it's fairly clean. Check your stamper. Make sure you don't have anything extra. I like the way that one picked up. This time I'm doing it on a lighter blue. The first one was on a darker blue. I did end up liking the darker blue better, but this gave you just a different option. You can see that my stamp didn't completely... Oh, no, it did. It completely went through. I'm going to add this time some iridescent glitter. This one is from Art Club. And I'm just going to go over the whole stamp this time because I'm not looking to just highlight a certain area. I'm just kind of looking for an all-over glossing. It gives the blue kind of that twilight effect. And that one is done. I'm going to clean my stamper again because we're going in with a different one. This time we're using purely white. Yeah. This nail is a negative space design where the stamp only appears in the two corners, and then I'm going to add a little bit of filigree, you'll notice, with a white liner. So you could use any of these three I'm pointing out. I've done it with all of them and they all come out beautiful. I happen to like this one just because it has a little more space in it. It's not quite as filigree as some of the others. You're going to stamp one half of the snowflake in the corner bottom and flip the stamper around, and then the other half goes in the top. And then you have your negative space in the middle, which is very nice. You could leave it just like this and top coat it and finish it off. I decided I was going to leave it actually, but I had originally done the other one with the filigree, so I wanted to show you how to do that. I think it's delightful to do it either way. So here I'm just putting a couple little light swirls, and then I'll put a couple of dots just to make like little tiny snowflakes in a second. If you want tiny, tiny dots, just be real gentle with your hand. You can see how lightly I'm touching the nail. Anything harder than that, especially with a liner brush, you'll end up with more of a slash than an actual dot. You could also do it with a dotting tool. It was just faster for me to do it that way. We're going to clean the stamp down yet again. So you can see I've used a lot of these so far. They're all really fun. This time we're only going to use part of the stamp. I'm actually not going to pull that whole stamp. I'm going to do a funky French with a bit of a mica powder. So I'm going to start with a stamp, and then I'm going to fill the back with mica powder and then reverse it. You notice that I did pull away because I didn't want to have to worry about doing a whole lot of removal off the stamp head once I was done. So now I'm using my silicone tool and just very gently patting in the color. You'll notice I'm really careful around that top edge because that's that French line that we're going to be using. But the bottom and the sides I'm not as worried about because that's going to go off the edge of the nail. If it was something I was going to fully stamp on the nail, I would definitely want to clean up those edges and be very careful. The next thing I'm doing is going over the whole thing with a little bit of base coat, so I have a nice sticky bottom. But you do have to wait a couple of minutes for that to dry. So I'm going to set that aside. If you try to stamp it on right away, it's just going to be a gooey mess and it won't transfer correctly. So you do want to wait a couple minutes and just let it dry. While that's happening, I am top coating some other nails so that we can pop them in the light and do a reveal at the end. I will show you both sets, the original set I had done and then the one I created today at the end of the video, just so you can see different background colors with different colors on top. I am being very light-handed when I apply the top coating. You don't want to drag it because you can end up actually dragging some of your stamping design, which does happen a little bit later, and I'll show you how you can touch that up. But you typically don't want it to drag the stamper or the stamp itself. Alrighty, so I have transferred that over. You can see that the mica shows up behind, so you get this sort of three-tone effect without having to do a whole lot of work, which is lovely. It does take a little more time, so you have to just be a little bit careful when you're planning for a client to do this. You might want to have like 2 or 3 stampers available so that you can do several nails at once, or prep them ahead on an artboard. So I just top coated that one. Typically I'd wait a little longer. I'd wait a few more minutes just for that to completely settle before I top coated, but it all worked out. This was not a planned one. This one came along after. I decided I wanted to throw a few more in there that I had not tried yet. So this was a try it on film kind of thing. So this one was originally on a gray background. It was one I had hanging around, and this one's also on a gray background. So both of these have gray polish underneath. And then we're going to be stamping on top with more of a full coverage stamp. I do use Starlily on one of them. I think it's that one, yeah. Just to... Oh, I didn't actually stamp that one on film. I'm so sorry. You can see that stamp on the plate. It's just a gray background, and then I did stamp it over. This is the one that got a little bit blurry on me, and so what I'm doing is using my liner brush while the top coat is wet to just go in and pick out those little bits where it ran just a touch. You can do this for little things, but not for big things. And there we go. There is your finished winter nail set. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it definitely helps me out. And I hope to make some more content soon. Spring nails, I think, are next. Bye-bye.